Is there a particular trigger? Is it a person? Is it an event? Is it around the cycle of your menstrual cycle? All of that information can really help you figure out where can we dial in and change your lifestyle to prevent this burnout or just overall make you feel amazing.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. My new best friend, Deb, is with us, and we are going to talk about burnout. And I know, we all have burnout. There's nothing we can do about it. But did you know burnout isn't just a mental thing? It's a physical. It changes our physiology and our bodies. And I had to wake up in the hospital before I started taking care of not being burned out. So Deb's with us, and she's going to tell us those medical things that can be affected by all this work, don't do anything for me stuff that we do. So I'm really excited for this because I needed this multiple years ago. And so I could have prevented some of the downfalls that I had to go through. And like our goal is to help you get through to your goal without all the bumps that we've had to go through. So before we get started, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor. When we come back, Deb, help me understand why I let burnout is going to, how it could affect me. So we'll be right back.
Hey, since I rarely have openings in my coaching schedule, I have a new resource out there on my website. It is called the BFF Coaching Network. And I have offered a spot there for any coach that has been on the show to list their coaching. You can go out there, you can listen to their episodes, you can feel a little bit about them, and then choose a coach that will work for you. So LaraJaneLayton.com, the BFF Coaching Network.
Okay, I'm really excited about this because I know we all hear that story about you don't change your diet until you wake up with a heart attack. But did you know it's just burnout itself is something that's affecting our body, not just the way we eat. So, yes, eating's always the right thing to do too, but Deb, help us to live healthy lives and avoid some of this extreme burnout we go through every day.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today, Laura Jane. I'm really excited to be here. And I'm so happy that you brought me into your friend circle. You can never have enough great friends, right? So, for years, I am the typical woman that's listening to us right now, right? The high achiever. I was running my clinic, raising my children. I was teaching, traveling every other weekend, writing, and trying to be everything to everyone. I was the caretaker, the businesswoman, the problem solver, the mom, all of those things. And I kept telling myself, once things slow down, I'll rest, right? How many people tell themselves that every day, right? I hear it. I'm sure everyone that's listening to us is hearing the same thing and they're saying the same thing. I'll rest tomorrow. But like so many things, you just never slow down. And that's when your body finally starts speaking to you. And I like to explain to my clients and for all of you that are listening to us, it is one thing is going to happen. And Laura Jane already said this, right? Either you're going to listen to your body before the big thing hits and lands you in the hospital, or that's when you're going to have to listen. And it's that old phrase that says, if you don't make time for wellness, you'll be forced to take time for illness, just like you explained. And that became my reality too. And I think for a lot of us as women, that does become our realities. And for me, it started one evening. I was watching a movie with my family and I realized I had numbness in my hands and my legs. And I kind of sat back and thought, I've got some disc issues in my neck. I'm sitting kind of crooked on the couch and my hands are probably all curled up. That's what's causing all of this, right? And I pushed it off. And then all of a sudden I felt this brush across my face. It felt like somebody was putting a feather across my face and not in a good way, not in that kind of creepy way, like, okay, what's this now? What's going on there? Next thing I knew, I couldn't see. I was losing my vision. It became very blurry. I saw this beautiful kaleidoscope light show that went on in my visual field for like 30 minutes, right? And I wasn't able to watch the movie, so I was totally distracted, but I was so afraid to tell my family that something was going on because I was like, what is going on? And it took me a little bit to go, oh, I'm having an ocular migraine. And over time, that numbness continued to spread. My body started speaking louder and louder and louder to me. And I finally decided, this is all in my neck. I'm going to go see my orthopedic doc. Maybe it's time for an injection. I'll be good. I'll be able to go back to the office right after that. And life's going to be fantastic. Only to find out when I got there, he looked at me and he said, Deb, you're a really smart woman. He's like, you know what's going on. And I'm like, yeah, my neck is terrible. It's driving me nuts. And he said, mm-mm. He's like, I think you have MS. And I went, what? I'm like, no, you're crazy. And we had a little conversation back and forth about having an MRI done. And I finally admitted, fine, I'll go do the MRI so I can prove to you I have a brain. We'll both see that I don't have a brain up there and it's all good. And we laughed a little bit about it. And then 2 days before Christmas in 2022, the call came in from him and he started the conversation saying, Deb, your brain MRI shows that you have MS. And I remember sitting there going, okay. So I questioned the diagnosis and said, okay, but what about the other things on the MRI result that says it could be infections, it could be toxins that could be causing this white matter brain disease? No, 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 no. He said, it's only MS. You got to go get treatment right now, and this will change the course of your disease. And being the rebel child that I am, I respectfully declined the conventional treatment. And I went on a journey for the next 18 months and learned everything that I could learn about what causes the body to create white matter brain disease. And it's interesting because there's all these physical things that occur, but we also forget about all of the emotional things that occur. And this is where the burnout actually really happens, right? Our bodies become so exhausted that we can't detox properly. We can't get rid of the toxins. And for us today, unfortunately, we live in a world where there's 85,000 different chemicals in our environment on a regular basis. And our body's got to try to eliminate that, along with all the other crazy things that we do in our lives. Like I just talked about my life, and your people that are in your community are the same way. The women that are listening, you're not any different than I am. You're running your company or you're going to work and you're producing for your employer and you're burning the candle at both ends. And the mom that's out there that's trying to build a career, maybe going to school at the same time, plus running their household, plus taking care of their parents now, if you're getting to that point where your parents are aging. And all of these things are taking a toll on us behind the scenes, and we don't even recognize it. And we ignore our bodies. And for years, the exhaustion comes in, the brain fog comes in. We keep pushing harder. And we do that because we think it's going to make us stronger, right? The more I push, the stronger I'm going to be. The more I do, the better I'm going to be. The more I do, the more I'm going to accomplish, the more I'm going to be accepted in this world. Whether it's a male-dominated world or a female-dominated world, we keep pushing to try to be accepted. But unfortunately, that's where a lot of these diagnoses come in. And when we're talking about burnout, I like to tell people, your body makes these really small communications to you in the beginning. The longer you go without listening, the louder the communication becomes. So initially, it may be something like what happened to me, or maybe it's a migraine, or maybe it's, I can't get out of bed today. And then before you know it, it's, guess what? It's not that you can't get out of bed. Your body just says, I'm not going to let you get out of bed anymore. And it just breaks that curse. For a lot of women, it's that early onset of the first 5 pounds, and then it's 10 pounds, and then it's 15 pounds. And that is burnout. That is the body saying, I can't do this anymore. So I'm going to hold on to my metabolism. I'm going to hold on to everything that I'm giving you because I'm not sure when you're going to let me rest. And that's what burnout looks like in our day-to-day life.
You're right. And it's so real. You think back and it's like, oh, I'm just not exercising enough. I'll have more energy if I add exercise. And I'll add energy if I do all these magical meditations and stuff. And really, I needed to slow down. It
Exactly.
wasn't it wasn't all these other things. My husband didn't think it was funny when I said, "But honey, I'm twice the woman I was when you married me."
Mhm.
That's not funny. You put on that much weight and it totally holds you back. You're no longer able to run and play with kids and friends and go hiking, and you just are sentimental. You just sit because that's what you can do. And not everybody does it that way. You're going to have all different kinds of things that affect us. And mine was my heart that decided it was just not going to work anymore. So it told me to quit running. I mean, quit sitting.
Mhm.
And so it's listening. I call it, to paying attention to our check engine lights. What is that thing that's happening? Like, I tell the story of my kid that we got in this used car because it was my freedom day. And I guess I didn't do a very good job of teaching him about cars because his oil light kept coming on. And one day he was dead on the freeway. I go, "What happened?" "Well, Mom, the oil light would be on, but it would go off after I started driving it." Yes, we can mute them. We can ignore them. We can take aspirin. We can take antacids, all these things that you can just mask.
Mhm.
But unless you take care of the root, what is that? What is your check engine light telling you?
Mhm.
Most of the time, it's sit down, fuel, recharge, take care of you. But how do we do that?
Yeah, that is so true. It is the hardest thing I think for women to do because we are always burning the candle at both ends, right? You've got the family, you've got the house, you've got the job, you've got the parents, or you have the grandchildren, or you have all of those at one time these days. And it is hard to carve that time for yourself. But I will say, if you do not make yourself a priority, eventually you're going to have to make yourself the priority. And so you can start with little things. We talked when we first started, before we started to record, just taking that 5 minutes in the morning for yourself, taking 5 minutes in the shower to just clear your head. Don't think about your to-do list. Think about something that you love to do. Think about something that's exciting and happy. I also am like you. We talked about this too, driving into the commute. I have a very long commute, but even if you only have 10 minutes, I remember when I first started learning about a lot of this stuff, I would listen to Wayne Dyer. He was one of my favorite people to learn from. And I would choose people that were motivational for me because I wanted to start my day off right. And there's so much negativity in the world. It's so easy to get bogged down with all the things that we can't do or haven't finished or we're not good enough at. And I didn't want to listen to that. I didn't want to start my day that way. So I would start my day with something extremely positive, whether it was a positive book, a podcast, just a show, whatever it was. Some days it was just singing. It was just turning on some great old fun 70s and 80s music that was really uplifting. And I would just sing in the car on the way in so that I could uplift myself and not have to deal or think about what I was going to get to and what was going to be on my desk when I got there and who I was going to have to talk to. And those things all really help. But at the end of the day, what's actually happening to our bodies when we're not taking that time for ourselves is our cells are not regenerating in our body the way we're supposed to. We call it mitochondria, big word for cell structure. And if we're not taking that downtime, that mitochondria doesn't repair. And if it's not repairing properly, we're regrowing not healthy cells. We're growing abnormal cells, which is never a good thing. And when we're talking about burnout a lot, what we're talking about is cortisol. And I'm sure everybody has seen the cortisol commercials out there. And they talk about what's happening with cortisol. And some of it's actually true and some of it's actually not. What I tend to see is when women get to the point where they're completely burned out, it's no longer that they have too much cortisol, it's that they have too little cortisol. So in the beginning, when we have too much cortisol, we're like the Energizer Bunny. We're burning the candle at both ends and we're doing great things and our body's pushing through and you can run on 3 to 4 hours of sleep and life is great. You're crushing it. And then all of a sudden it starts to turn the other corner because you've actually burned out all of your cortisol. And now the cortisol starts to go on the downswing. And this is where we start to become more fatigued and that chronic fatigue. And people will be diagnosed with fibromyalgia when this happens because they'll start getting a lot of muscle pain that migrates all over and they'll get nerve discomfort and they'll get brain fog and forgetfulness. We call it word finding, where you're looking at the chair and you're like, what is that? Or you're calling it a couch or something crazy, you can't find things. And that's what's really happening when that cortisol starts to decline. And once it gets to a flat line and there is no cortisol left for your body to produce, that's when we're kind of flatlined, where our body says, I'm done. I'm not helping you anymore. You've been not nice to me. You haven't been listening to me. And now I just have nothing left to give you anymore. And that's when it puts us flat on our backs. And so we really have to be watching these cortisol levels and paying attention to those messages that's happening so that we can intervene. And that doesn't necessarily mean intervene to give you a supplement or give you something to give you more cortisol so you can keep going, right? That's not the idea of this whole thing. The idea is for us to listen and go, okay, I need to take a step back and I need to fill my cup back up again. And filling our cups back up again can be really simple. Starting the morning with some lemon water, a little sea salt, a little vitamin C is amazing for the adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands are what actually produces the cortisol. And there are two small nickel-sized glands. They sit on back of your kidneys. They give you that fight or flight response. And that's that cortisol rise, fall, rise, fall. And when the cortisol really disrupts things, you'll notice it because your sleep will be very disturbed. Um, Cortisol should be at its highest point first thing in the morning. It should drop by half at noon, drop by half at 3, and be nearly non-existent by nighttime. But when we're going through this transition, if our cortisol is not perfect, sometimes we become like a baby with its days and nights mixed up, and the cortisol will be too high at night, and then we can't sleep. If you've been that person, because I am this person, it happens to me quite often too, is I'm so exhausted. I lay down, and then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, my creativity meter starts. And I start thinking of all these amazing things when I should be sleeping. And that's a sign that you're starting to have some of that disruption in cortisol at night. And that's a great sign for us to say, okay, let's take a step back. I need to start clearing my head a little bit. I need to start doing a sleep ritual. You can keep your room a little cooler at night. You can do some meditation. Um, if you're like me, meditation's hard because I have a hard time turning off my brain. So I like to listen to meditative things where somebody is walking me through a story because that's distracting enough for me. If I have to try to stay in my own head, there's too many things that happen in there and I get too many creative ideas. And so you can listen to things like that if you're having a hard time getting into a meditative state, whether it's just sound music or it's somebody telling a story. It's a great distraction to try to get your body to relax enough so you can go to sleep again.
I love this. We listen to a guided meditation. Well, we switch it up. It's not the same one at night. And I've seen the stories and I've wondered because sometimes I don't care what that person's saying. My brain is rethinking everything I did today, everything I need to do tomorrow. And I okay, Jane, pay attention. Focus on your breath. Focus on your breath. And,
Yes.
I have to talk myself into it. But I'm going to try one of those stories. I think that sounds great because, I think for me, the mix up, if I'm listening to the same thing every night, it gets
Mhm.
too familiar. And
Yeah.
I just start just letting my own brain think. So we mix it up and stuff. So I'm going to try the story. Thank you for the idea.
You're welcome. The stories are really great. The other thing that I really love to listen to is the delta waves. So YouTube has tons of amazing things for free that you should do. Because then you can try it. And like you said, Laura Jane, if you get bored with it, you just change it up again and it's not costing you anything, which is great. But they have these delta wave and theta wave programs that you can listen to as well. And usually it's a sound program. And it actually starts to help move your brain waves into those different pathways for you to get into the deep sleep cycles. And some of them, they run for like 8 hours and it's just different sound waves. And over time, your brain kind of starts to ignore the different sound waves and just lets your brain do what it's supposed to. And it's really an amazing transition for you. You find that if you're wearing like a Fitbit or an Aura ring or something like that, you can actually see your sleep cycle starting to change when you're using some of these programs as well.
I've had those. I don't use them a lot.
Mhm.
I use them more in my meditation time than I don't call my guided meditation time. I
Mhm.
call it go to bed.
Mhm.
So I have both. But I do know how powerful those waves are.
Mhm.
Over my Reiki table, I have some that are root chakra level, and one that's a healing level. And I just have those sound bowls and stuff. It's still those waves that just
Mhm.
really affect our bodies. And it's like, oh, this really makes a difference. I call it my Reiki table. It's just a massage table. Yes, we only play with it at home. We don't do anything with it
Mhm.
other than, well, when the dog's sick, we put him on the table.
Mhm. And this is where you have to make your home your sanctuary. I love when we detox the home, right? So earlier I spoke about the 85,000 chemicals in our environment, and a lot of those are cleaning chemicals or they're Glade plugins and those kinds of things, which I don't recommend people do. Essential oils is great, but try to stay away from those commercialized chemical things. They're very toxic for the body. They're very hard on the body. And when we're already stressed and we're already burnt out, the last thing we want the body to have to do is try to detox more chemicals that it's not used to having. So, detoxing the home, making it a nice place, making your sleep and your home sanctuary, that make it a sanctuary. Give yourself an office where you need to work, but give yourself a safe place where work can stay behind a closed door so you don't have to look at it and you can be outside with your family doing the other things. Oftentimes for myself, I remember when my kids were growing up, I was always learning and training and in school for something. So I would study with them watching TV. So my office became the living room. And before I knew it, I didn't have a sanctuary where I could just say, okay, I could put this down. I would say, oh, I'll just grab my laptop and I'll take care of this one email, or I'll do this one piece that I got to do for school. And before I knew it, 4 hours went by and I was still working, 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 and working. And there was never that downtime. And you really have to force yourself to separate that so that you have your sanctuary, you have your space where you're not thinking about the work that needs to get done.
I love The Office. And I do have a laptop that goes around with me,
Hmm.
but I don't feel productive unless I've got my 2 monitors and I can really just focus
Hmm.
on work. And when I'm on just a laptop screen, I don't do work. I do more play and hang out with people. But it is really nice to, okay, I'm leaving the office. And when I have hit that level of I'm just done, I'm
Hmm.
leaving the office, we shut the door and we just walk away and then you don't come back in.
Yeah.
It's the place where my creative and my work come together because I create everywhere, but I don't have to write it down and document it and do all the work
Yeah.
part. So,
That's the fun part. I really love journaling too.
mhm.
And some people like to journal on the laptop. I love journaling with something beautiful, like, yeah, actually handwriting, a pretty book, make that something very special for you, especially when your mind's turned on and you can't get out of your head. Journal those feelings, journal what's going on, get it onto paper, get it out of your head. Once you do that, it's much easier to just let it all go. For people who are into the AI world these days, I learned a really great tip. I'm going to borrow this from Dan Martell. And he said, when I get really angry and I need to vent and I need a private person, private place, private thing to vent, but that person's not there, or I have something I need to say that I don't want to trust with someone else, he goes to chat and he'll pull up the voice part on chat and he'll talk to chat and let chat talk back to him so that you can get it out right away in a space that's trustworthy and help you walk through fixing it in a positive manner instead of going out and lashing out at somebody that doesn't necessarily deserve what you're going to lash out at just because you're upset. And so, really getting some of those things out in a positive fashion can really be helpful. And I love that about the AI because I never thought about doing that. And it's kind of a nice thing to do because you can say things to AI that you wouldn't say to another person or that you wouldn't want another person to hear you say. Get it out, get those feelings out, and then come up with a positive solution to what's going on for you.
It's very good at also helping you frame it. Would you, like
Yes.
I tell it, don't frame it unless I tell you to because it's going to
Mhm.
piss me off worse. So,
Yes.
and like, okay, I'm ready. How could I say this nicer?
Mhm.
And it's very helpful. 'Cause I do it almost
Yeah.
like it. I was telling you, AI is my coworker that sits next to me, and it's
Mhm.
like, okay, this is what I'm working on, da, da, and then I go back to working, and it just helps me be at home alone with the dogs
Mhm.
and have somebody to talk to, and it's been great for me, and I know that, it has that s is it good? Is it bad? Is it gonna take over our lives? What's it gonna do? And I just pretend like it's like the cotton gin, yes, it's gonna change our lives. It's like the printing press,
Mhm.
yes, it's gonna change our lives, but it's not taking away the need for the people.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's like the internet, right? We thought the world was going to crash when the internet came, but look at what it exploded for us. And I feel the same way with AI. I think there's going to be people that are going to misuse it. There are going to be people that are going to use it for some really good things. And it's here to stay. We need to figure out how to survive in the environment with it. And it can make our lives so much simpler. I love it for research. I mean, I use it all the time. I'll go in and say, I'm looking for A, B, C, and D in this research. Can you pull all the research for me? That used to take me 20 hours plus to go and dig up all the research on my own. And now I can have it in less than a minute. And then I can sift through that research and find what I'm looking for. And it makes our lives easier in a lot of ways. And I think that's a positive thing.
It's replaced my Google search 99%. Like,
Mhm.
I will ask it
Yes.
long before, and there's times where Google does a better job.
Hmm.
It finds what I'm looking for,
Hmm.
but most of the time, it's not. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I know, we're talking about burnout, but whoa, think about all that time that you
Yes.
save researching, because I do the same thing. You just saved me 2 days,
Hmm.
of what I would have spent, and that in itself is a huge, huge burnout saver when you're not having to struggle and, "God, where am I gonna find that, and where am I gonna find this?" And it's just
Hmm.
there. And it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, thank you."
It's awesome. I mean, even just to plan your daily dinner menu. I mean, I used to spend 4 or 5 hours in the afternoon just kind of scrolling recipes, looking for something new because, you get bored of the same old thing, and now I can go to chat and I can say, "This is what I wanna create. This is what I have in my pantry. Give me some ideas for some meals." And just like that, I have them. And it's like, oh my gosh, I just freed myself up 4 hours of just brainlessly scrolling, which isn't a bad thing. That's a good thing too. But at the end of the day, sometimes I'd rather have that time to go take a walk and connect with nature and just sit on the porch and watch the birds. And, being able to be free from some of those mundane tasks with the tools that we have is really going to help our burnout level. Just tremendously help our burnout levels.
And with AI, I've found new things and for food that I had never even
Mhm.
had a clue of. I love Pinterest. I will not give it up. I will always look for the pictures because AI
Mhm.
doesn't give me pretty pictures.
That's right.
But it's like, oh, have you ever tried black garlic? No, what's black
Mhm.
garlic? Like all of a sudden now black garlic's one of my favorite things to throw into things and it's fermented and it's healthy for you and it's sweet. And you just go, ah, this I would have never known anything about it because I'm not a commercial. I don't know if there's commercials on it. I don't know where people find this stuff.
Mhm.
I found it on AI. So just like it gives me good, fun ideas to add to something I already am making.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when we're talking about burnout too, I wanna go back and talk a little bit about this cortisol thing because I think it's so important for people. And there's some confusion around it, but we do have a way to test cortisol
Oh,
functionally and very simple, very easy. We can do a saliva test. You can spit in a tube at 4 different times throughout the day, and it will measure your cortisol throughout the entire day. Blood testing is available. It's not great. It's really good for helping us diagnose the disease of cortisol, too much, too little, like Addison's or Cushing's. But if we want to see a functional level, if I come at you with a needle, whether you like needles or not, you're going to get a little bit of a rise in cortisol versus if we send you home with a tube and you're going to just spit in it, there's less stress around that unless you can't produce a lot of saliva. Then there's a little stress around that. But you can actually measure your cortisol so you can get a good idea of how badly are you burnt out based on where your cortisol levels are. And you can manipulate those cortisol levels then throughout the day with different supplements or lifestyle changes or emotional things. You can look at that and go, oh, look, my cortisol is always rising at noon. What do I do at noon that's causing me to have this cortisol shift? Is there a meeting that's going on? Are you preparing for something? Can you do something different around that time of the day then to bring that cortisol level down? Or if the cortisol level's too low, what can I do to help bring that up so I'm not so exhausted? So I'm not so burnt out and I've got that time for my family when I come home at the end of the day. So there are ways that we can hack some of this. So for people who feel like their cortisol is out of place, go look for a way that you can test this. You can find them online. You could find a practitioner to work with you to do this as well. But it can be really helpful to give you some insight into what's going on with your body.
so cortisol is like the primary marker that would be affected by burnout? Are there
Yes.
others? Like, I know there was a time when hormone replacement ended up being an important thing for
Mhm.
me. And it wasn't as much burnout as I was just being a bitch. Yeah, just sorry. There was just nothing else to say about
Mhm.
it. But I mean, at the time, I thought it was a part of burnout. Are there other markers other than cortisol that help regulate or know how we're reacting to our daily lives?
Absolutely. So there's two main hormones that we look at to see what the adrenals are doing in that reactivity, testosterone and DHEA. DHEA is a mother hormone, so it peaks at age 20 and then gradually starts to fall from there. So by the time we're 80 or 90, we don't have much DHEA left, but it gives us energy, motivation, creativity, and drive. And so if we're burnt out, that DHEA level is going to be a lot lower much sooner in our bodies, and we're going to have a lot more of those symptoms. Testosterone is another one. When we're in burnout, we're burning through that testosterone, and women have testosterone just like men. And we will notice that. Sometimes it's our sex drive that goes down. Sometimes the first thing you notice is that you're producing too much body fat and not enough muscle mass. And that's an indication that the testosterone is too low. And then we have all these beautiful neurotransmitters that we can measure too. Those we measure by urine testing. But when we're in burnout, we will see lower serotonin levels, lower GABA levels. GABA, when it's low, is going to give you that anxious panic feeling. And a lot of people, when they go through burnout, will start to experience more anxiety or panic attacks, or just feeling really wound up and not being able to settle down. That's usually because GABA is starting to fall because of how we're living our lives, because we're burning that candle at both ends. And then there's a couple other neurotransmitters that we look at too. One's called norepinephrine and the other one is epinephrine. So it gives us our heart rate variability. And so when people start feeling that heart rate speeding up, and maybe they're not anxious, they're just feeling a pounding heartbeat, that's usually coming from that epinephrine, norepinephrine. And we can see what's happening with that by a urine test. And then we can come back in and say, okay, here's what's happening with these neurotransmitters. Let's build them back up. And you typically build them up by using amino acids. So things that we should be getting from our protein sources, but maybe not doing enough protein or not digesting enough protein will allow those amino acids to build up. And if we can't get them enough in our diet, then we'll supplement them on the backside with a pill that's naturally made. But all of these things can really kind of tell you the physical level of where you're at in that burnout cycle, give you something objective.
And there's a lot of those that you rattled off that I do know the supplements are available, that you can take.
Hmm.
But I also wonder, am I taking the right amount? Like, I have a chiropractor that does muscle testing, and I took all
Hmm.
my supplements to him and I said, how many of these should I be taking? And I just had him go through them all because I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, do I take one? Do I take 30? Because
Hmm.
I know there's that recommended on it, but all our bodies are different. Our bodies have gone through different depletion. It's like, uh, why not have somebody tell me? So I don't know if he was right or not, but it helped.
Yeah. There are ways that you can tell. Muscle testing is a great way. Urine testing is a great way. And just sometimes it's based on how you feel. But working with a practitioner that's knowledgeable in helping you figure out what to take and how much to take is really important. Because some of these things you can overdose on some of these things, and we don't want you to take too much. But most of the time, the problem is that you don't take enough, and then you don't feel like you're getting any benefit from it because it's either not a good quality or you're just not taking enough. And I usually steer people away from buying their supplements on Amazon. It's very easy to bootleg things. People have label makers that look beautiful, look just like a high quality product. And there's been studies done and testing done on products on Amazon where what they say is in the bottle really isn't even there. And so it's really important to make sure that you get really good quality products so that you're not getting something that's going to harm your body, but something that's actually going to help your body.
Well, I know some of the supplement places you have to have a doctor's
Hmm.
login or approval to buy. They're not like prescription, but you can't
Hmm.
just go buy them out of anywhere because they're so controlled and
Yeah.
make sure that they're of value to you. I get frustrated. I want to buy those, but I hate having to find someone that's going to let me in.
Yeah, let you have their code to do that. Yeah. And that's important because those are what we call nutraceutical grade products. So they're very high level. They're made in a facility that's pharmaceutical grade. And so they're very high quality and sometimes you need to know how to use them a little bit more. It's not like just going and buying magnesium. They're different products. They do different things. There needs to be a little knowledge behind some of them. Um, but yes, if you can find somebody to work with either virtually or in person that understands that, that can help you a lot.
So, all in all, lower your stress.
Yeah.
But figure out how, like, if we can take this cortisol test and
Mhm.
figure out how it's affecting, like, am I running low already at noon? Or am I too high at this time? What a great idea to at least know what your body's doing, because then we can do something about it. That's kind of
Yeah.
like why I always talk about self reflection. You can't change anything until you understand why it's happening. And
Mhm.
these are tests that you can take to prove it. It's not just writing. I started to feel grouchy. I was full of energy. I was. And, that's going to tell you how you felt and be a great thing to see if it matches the test.
Exactly.
So yeah, I like these ideas because
Mhm.
anything we can do to balance that cortisol level, to balance all these other hormones and vitamins and minerals and stuff in our body, just gives your brain time to do what it's fun to do and not try to fix your body.
Exactly. And I love that you talk about journaling how you're feeling because in my world of medicine, when a woman comes in with a journal that says, look at where my symptoms are at, that is a gold mine for me because I can look and see the patterns. Sometimes the woman bringing it in can see the patterns, but sometimes they can't. But we can look at this on a calendar is a great place to put your symptoms. Like, what is happening? Do you always get the same symptoms around the same time of the day? Are you always getting really crabby on Sunday night when you have to get ready to go to work on Monday? Or you're getting crabby before you have to go have Sunday dinner with the in-laws, whatever that is. Let's find those patterns because inside those patterns tells us exactly what's going on in your body and makes it so much easier for us to be able to help figure out what you need to support your body and when to support it. So for those people that do that journaling, keep dates in there, keep timeframes in there. How long does it happen? Is there a particular trigger? Is it a person? Is it an event? Is it a date? Is it around the cycle of your menstrual cycle? All of that information can really help you figure out where can we dial in and change your lifestyle to prevent this burnout or just overall make you feel amazing.
I love it. And I'm back to AI again. There was a medicine that I got put on that I started tracking my symptoms of what was happening in AI. And I would give it a date because it doesn't know the date unless you tell it. On this date, this is what happened in the morning. And then at the end, it's like, hey, I'm headed to my doctor. Give me a recap. Done.
Mhm.
And so it was so nice because I had everything on a sheet of paper and like, here's what's been going on. And it just made it easy for me because I'm at my computer anyway. You just start a
Mhm.
separate little chat thread for it. And ah, so another way to easily track your symptoms. I don't journal that way. I like to write it down when I'm
Mhm.
journaling. But for that, it was beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Anything to reduce our stress. Well, it sounds like magic. You sound like you have some magic wands that you could wave over and help us. I know you have to test, but there sounds like there's a lot of really cool things or ways to help us move through the burnout. We have
Yeah.
it. It's not like it's going to go away. Uh,
Mhm.
we're going to maintain it and we're going to keep it low, right?
Yes.
So if our listener wanted to get a hold of you and say, hey, Deb, I need help, how would they do that?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of ways that you can get in contact with me. I am on a mission to help women have a community and be there for each other and support one another. So you can join my community. It's called Seen at Last. It's on Facebook. It's a free community. We have tons of women in there that are sharing their stories, supporting one another, helping each other out to find ways to make things better for them. And the other way that you can connect with me is I'm on all social channels, Deb Muth. You can find me at all the social channels. But one of the things that I would love to offer for your listeners, and especially as we started talking about AI today, is an app that I created called Venari. And Venari is here to change the way that women get access to functional medicine. And I'm so excited about it because we have taken 27 years of my knowledge, all of my mentors that I've learned from, and everything that I do every day in my clinic. And we have built this into Venari as an app. And so you can go in, you can put your symptoms in, you can ask questions, and you will get answers just like if you were sitting with me in the clinic. And I will share all of those things. And for people who need a little bit more assistance, we have health coaches that'll work one-on-one with you and alongside of you and help create protocols for you. But I'm so excited about it because this will be the first time that you will have guided AI helping you with all of the knowledge that I've had over these years and giving you the information that's directed from somebody who's been in functional medicine for 27 years to help you along the way. And it is going to help you on the physical side, the emotional side, the lifestyle side. Everything that's there is going to be there for you.
Is it an acronym or does it mean something?
Yeah. So it is a made up word. But what it means is bringing women and health and vitality together.
Okay. It's like I've never heard the word before, so I had to ask. All right. I really love this. And so, what is that one thing? If there's nothing else that I'm going to walk away with, what is that one thing I could do today, tonight, in the morning to help reduce my burnout?
The one thing that you can do to help reduce your burnout would be put yourself first. And I know that sounds simple and kind of foolish, but you do have to put yourself first. So find the one thing every day that brings you joy. It could be something as simple as sipping a cup of tea and take that time for yourself. It does not have to be an hour. It could be 3 minutes. It could be 5 minutes. A tip that I love, and I do this all day long, and for people who are not working at home, this is a really great tip. Um, we pick up everyone's energy all day long. We carry everyone's energy with us all day long. And sometimes we have a hard time determining, does this belong to me or does this belong to someone else? So simply walking and brushing yourself off after you've been with somebody for a little while. I know we're going to talk about this on, you're going to hear it. You're not going to see me do it, but simply just brushing, right? Like you just brush your body off, brush that energy off, leave it behind so that you can start on your own and you're not carrying everybody else's garbage with you because we've got enough of our own. We don't need everyone else's, but you need to find a way to get rid of that. Some people love to just use essential oils, smell them, put them on there. I find it's quick and easy. A couple of shoulder brushes, done. Okay, energetically, I am moving this person's energy out and I'm only owning my own. Those couple of things can make a huge difference in burnout for you on a daily basis and starting to learn what do you own and what belongs to the rest of the person or people around you in the world.
I love that reminder because it's been a long time since I've done that because I do work at home.
Mhm.
But I remember doing that. I just have situations now that I'm in that I haven't used it for.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can do that. Oh,
Mhm.
and it does work, I promise.
Yeah, it really does. It sounds hooky, but it really does work. Sometimes my staff will look at me and they'll go, "What is she doing now?" And I'm like, just
Toxic
preparing for
client.
my own energy, right?
Yeah, definitely. I love it. So all those links, everything that you talked about's in the show notes. So that's great. You can just jump down there, grab them. So I have really loved being able to talk through this. We all experience it. We've all have our own little things we do to help maintain it. And some of those are just ignore it, just keep going. And those are the ones we want to get rid of.
Yes,
So if you need help getting to stop ignoring the signs and the symptoms of burnout, now you know I have a place to go. And your community on Facebook, it'd be great. So thank you so much for joining us. I just have totally enjoyed this conversation, and I know our friend has too. So thank you. Um, I am not a licensed medical or mental professional, just here for entertainment. We're not here for medical advice. Please follow your doctor or therapist as needed. But if you need a new one, you know where to go. So thank you so much for joining, and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.